Shalom, shalom, family. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. I pray everybody is having a blessed Shabbat. Hope everybody had a blessed week. Before we really get started with the lesson, I'm actually going to start off the lecture with the video we watched last week, just as a mental and image refresher as we go into the revelation of Lamed. Shalom, shalom. Be sure y'all pay attention to the words. It is in another language, so make sure that y'all pay attention to the words.
È un lavoro duro, è un lavoro impegnativo, è un lavoro non semplice, ecco, non duro. Poi dipende anche dal tempo, l'inverno, la pioggia, la neve, insomma, si passano dei momenti non facili e non è facile gestirli a volte perché spaventano, perché vengono aggredite. Il ruolo del pastore è un ruolo fondamentale, è un ruolo di una persona, diciamo, di carattere abbastanza volenteroso, abbastanza deciso, abbastanza impegnato nel ruolo che deve svolgere. Il pastore deve essere, ecco, quella persona che, diciamo, tra virgolette, non ha paura di niente, ecco. Dicevamo che era un animale molto apparentemente docile, ha bisogno di una guida come il pastore per andare nel pascolo, mangiano l'erba, vanno dove trovano da mangiare, quindi non è che hanno un capo o hanno una, diciamo, una gerarchia o una cosa, vanno più che altro dietro ai pascoli, a quello che trovano da mangiare, vanno una dietro l'altra e agiscono in modo effetto domino, proprio per questo modo di mangiare che hanno. Il ruolo del pastore diventa fondamentale, specialmente quando il pascolo non è ampio, ma è variegato da stradine, da deviazioni, da altre strade da prendere. Loro seguono il pastore e vanno una dietro l'altra. Diciamo che loro hanno come punto di riferimento il pastore in determinati momenti, a gesti, la voce, il classico modo del pastore, il fischio, queste cose qui, insomma, che diventano poi nell'ambiente loro familiari e quindi riescono a capire quando c'è il pericolo, quando c'è il momento tranquillo, quando devono seguire il pastore, quando possono stare da sole. C'è nella giornata, diciamo, diversi tipi per capire il loro carattere, ecco, per gestirle. Loro fanno affidamento dopo anni, la conoscenza che acquisiscono verso il pastore, che durante il tempo, durante i giorni, i mesi e gli anni, loro sentono, capiscono dalla voce, dall'odore, dal comportamento della persona che le segue tutti i giorni, riescono a capire chi è che le gestisce, chi è che le tratta, chi è che le fa pascolare, e quindi acquisiscono loro fiducia nel pastore e viceversa. E non è soltanto il pastore che segue le manovre del gregge, ma un aiuto fondamentale è quello dei cani. Dove c'è pericolo si evita di mandarli con la voce o con il cane, chiamando il cane, e lui riesce a gestire le pecore in modo da deviarle da dove c'è il pericolo, da dove c'è la strada, dove passano le macchine, dove c'è transito di veicoli. Quindi la cosa diventa tra pastore, cane e gregge, quindi tutto un insieme di voci, di suoni, di gesti. Il rapporto con il cane è di fiducia, cioè di molta fiducia. Per loro il cane rappresenta la sicurezza. I cani gestiscono le pecore, quando le pecore trovano in mezzo a loro di cani pastori, loro si sentono tranquillizzate, stanno serene perché avvertono i pericoli in qualsiasi circostanza e loro riescono a percepire che c'è qualcosa che non va nell'ambiente, si raggruppano, i cani tengono a bada il gregge manifestando una situazione di pericolo, quindi si sentono, sono tranquillizzate dai cani.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. I pray everybody is well. If y'all can hear me, if y'all can see me, if y'all can hear me and y'all can see me, type some sevens in the comments. If y'all can hear me, if y'all can see me, type some sevens in the comments before we get started. If y'all can hear me and if y'all can see me, please type some seven in the comments. I want to make sure I can be heard. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. All right, make sure y'all can get y'all notebooks, get y'all pens, get y'all scriptures. We're about to get started. How did y'all enjoy that video? Did y'all get some understanding on it? Or at least some more insight on what it looks like to be a shepherd? And paralleling that with Messiah towards his people, his sheeple, his flock, the children of Israel. What y'all think about that video? Okay, so y'all can't hear me. All right, good. Yes, it was very intriguing. Absolutely. Very, very intriguing. For somebody who lived in a country for a year where that was the normal profession, that was one of the top professions, top skill sets that you would see living in Tanzania. It allowed me to get a little bit more insight on what it looked like to shepherd, especially when you see a 7-year-old, 8-year-old shepherding his father's flock, and it always reminds me of when I went to Israel back in 2019, because I don't really have too many people I'm around that like speaks Hebrew, fluent Hebrew, writes Hebrew, or really have I would say, I'm not gonna say not have a passion, but doesn't have a passion as much as I do for the language. So when I went there, especially amongst the brothers and sisters of Demona, that's like a first language, especially to the third or fourth generation from that first generation that actually originally migrated back to Israel. So being in that Torah class, I remember sitting in there, and at that time I may have been about a year in of learning. I was able to not read that fast, but write and read and understand certain words. So going in that class, right, it got up to me, I read, and I was nervous because it's like, shoot, I'm around people who fluently speak it, and you just don't want to mess up, right? So I did decent, right? And so then it got to this 7-year-old, and he was just flowing through it. Now, keep in mind, we're reading how they did. Well, I think they read like 1 or 2 chapters during that Torah setting, and I'm thinking the young brother still at verse 2 or 3. This brother done went through about 20 verses in less than 3 minutes, and I didn't even realize it. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, hey, so which verse he at? They're like, oh, he done. And I'm like, whoa. And so then it made being there that long, I was there almost a month, being there that long and being in an environment, it made me sharpen up my Hebrew to the point that it's not just me studying in biblical, but now I'm making it a daily part of my speech, to how they greet you, to just having a conversation. I started finding myself getting more sharper and sharper and sharper the longer I was there, to the point that, you know, I felt really good about just speaking it on the regular. And obviously coming back, what they say, you lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. And that's kind of, I'm not gonna say it happened, but I was not as fast when I got back. And I'm paralleling that with Tanzania, seeing these young children shepherd these animals. And you don't understand. I mean, I was around sheep, goat, and cows there. And just going and trying to touch a goat, or not a goat, but a sheep, because they don't really know you, they kind of move really quick, or they try to kind of get away. So it's really hard to really get close to them and maintain them. And this is just one sheep I was dealing with. And so it made me realize that how much patience, how much learning, it just made me realize how far we, as being the descendant diaspora of the Hebrews that went to captivity, being in the Western Hemisphere, I don't care how Hebrew you think you are, you really don't know how Hebrew you are until you go into a Hebrew influenced or a Hebrew altered culture that literally lives what you're just reading on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So I say all that to say is that this lesson right here, out of all the lessons dealing with the revelations of each letter, probably was the most profound one to me and most special one to me, because this is one that I really can say that I lived it, and I lived amongst it. And I'm not saying I shepherd them, just to be out around people who did it and see what it took. It just shows you. This elder told me about 5 years ago. He said he was dealing with agriculture, but I also take the same lesson dealing with animals or cattle. He said that if you can learn how to cultivate the land and cultivate plants, you then will learn how to cultivate people. You then will know how to pour in and nourish and nurture people. And to this day, that has been one of the most truest statements I can truly say I agree with. And that's the same thing when it goes to cattle or sheep or goat or cows. If you know how to maintain structure and have that dominion over animals, you will then know how to rule or help shepherd the house of Elohim. The scripture says, if a man not rule his house, how can he then rule the house of Elohim? Right? And the whole point was to help continue to shepherd people into Yah's kingdom. So what business would a man have to start a family, raise a family, nourish a family, if he is yet know how to master, nourish, or nurture himself by way of the instructions that his master gave him? See, in each position, whether we want to talk about plant or cattle, both needs constantly has to be in a posture of submission so that they can truly receive that which they need to live. But if a man is constantly moving hasty, if a man is constantly hopping from house to house, if a man has not yet been processed thoroughly, how can he then know how to process his wife and also process his children? And I realized in America, they have taught us utterly wrong how to do it. The concept of love is wrong. The concept of being a husband or husbandman is wrong. The concept of what a wife looks like is wrong. And you really don't understand and know these things until two things. You take up a profession that literally takes for you to be in a posture of cultivating somebody. And you have to also know what it takes to be cultivated because you've been cultivated. And a lot of us come from broken homes and have not properly been processed. A lot of us have been, we always talk about GMO food. A lot of us are GMO. A lot of us are genetically modified. Huh? A lot of us are truly genetically modified when it comes to biblical understanding. A lot of us is truly genetically modified when it comes to marriage understanding. A lot of us is biblically modified when it comes to parenthood. A lot of us is genetically modified when it comes to understanding Yah. So then we come into the community and we see all these disasters. We see all these broken covenants. Now we're starting to see a plague and rise of divorce in the community. And it's because a lot of us have been genetically processed wrong. And we have been modified from a Hebraic life to a heathenistic life. So everything we do is tyranny. Everything we do is ruling with a rod of iron. Everything we do is just aggression. Everything we do is just terror and destruction, and wondering why nothing is being upheld or the foundation is not on a rock, but yet on sand. Because we don't know what it looks like to get processed properly in love and in peace and harmony and long suffering and mercy and grace, pretty much the fruit of the Spirit. We don't know what it looks like to be cultivated in that way by something or someone greater than ourselves. So a lot of us, just be honest, a lot of us are first generation Hebrews, learning on the fly, right? Some of us been blessed with elders who've been in this life long enough to help kind of pull the reins back a little bit, right? But then there's a nice amount of us who either don't have a co-shepherds to help cultivate us and nourish and nurture us, or we have leaders, blind leaders who are leading us astray. Let's just be honest, huh? Leading us not to the pulpit, but to a ditch, and wondering why there's nothing changing in Israel, wondering why we don't have any institutions, wondering why the marriage or the divorce rate in Israel is going sky high now, wondering why that there's still a division when it comes to men and women in Israel, wondering why that we don't have purely cultivated children that's been bred in righteousness, because we are still a broken people with a broken mindset. Right? And I'm speaking of like this because when you really start to get into this understanding of La, man, you'll realize really how far you are removed. How far you are removed from really being like your master. How far you are removed or really putting on the likeness and image of Elohim. We walking around calling ourselves gods, kings, and queens, but do not fit the description. Huh? Don't own nothing. Don't even own your own mind. You don't even have control of your mind or your flesh. You don't have anything in place for your children. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children. Don't know how to treat your wife. A wife don't know how to treat her husband. Don't know how to build with brothers and sisters in righteousness. Don't know how to properly read Torah. Still reading from a Western mindset. We are totally and utterly reading this thing wrong and wondering why we're debating on the posture and position of Messiah. Wondering why we debating on how we wear our fringes. Debating on how many wives a man can have and what does that look like. Debating on the name. Most Negroes who debate on the name can't read a lick of Hebrew. A lick, not even one sentence. All we know is Shalom is down. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shabbarakatah. Akwath. Ak. That's all we know. But we swear up and down we know the Father's name. We are arguing about things that we shouldn't argue about. But what we really should be provoking each other is to repentance, order, and structure to our God. We're hearing more about what men and women should do versus what we should be doing for Yah. We're seeing men boast themselves as something, knowing that we are nothing. We're arguing over blocks that we should be teaching on that none of us own. We're trying to patent biblical words as if we created it. Come on, y'all. We got to get back in order. And the first thing it starts with us putting both knees on the ground, putting our face to the earth, spreading forth our hands and asking the master, what is our instructions? What is our assignment? What is it that you want me to do for you? Because remember the woman who There was two sisters when Yeshua came. There was one who was busy, just being a busybody, working and cleaning and all this type of stuff. Then there was a woman who was on her knees waiting for the master to speak. And the sister who was doing all this work was like, Master, what's she all she doing is sitting there. And he said, shoot, she's doing what she's supposed to do. She's doing a good deed. Why? Because there's a lot of things we could be considered work, but it's not work worthy of repentance. A lot of us think we bearing fruit, and you could, but you can be bearing premature fruit or rotten fruit past this time. Never being able to bear fruit in this season. That's because you are not been given the proper way to initiate the instructions in your own life on how to process the plant, which is yourself, anybody who Yah has assigned to you, so that it can bear fruit worthy of repentance or bear fruit worthy of the kingdom. So this one was more intimate to me because it really hits on, especially as a man, the family who was reading Torah portion, they was going through Ezekiel 36, right? And it was talking about why Israel got kicked out of the land, right? And they said that they was sacrificing unto idols right in the temple. And that should correlate and tell you that was a straight shot at leadership. Us as leaders, whether you want to consider yourself a morim or a more, a teacher or a pastor or a prophet or whatever you liken yourself to, I don't think brothers really understand the weight that you carry. I don't think you understand the responsibility and accountability that you carry when it comes to helping lead the flock of Yah. And that there's a great penalty when you do it wrong. And not just for yourself, because the people, the sheeple, they have a responsibility to study themselves to prove too. So it's not necessarily all on the leader, but you do carry most of the weight. And if you knew how much weight you carry, I promise you, if it was directly given to you, like the penalty, if you did this wrong, a lot of y'all really wouldn't take the position. And it's usually those who don't want the position who do the best at it because they do it with a heart that has fear and reverence for Yah. Versus the one who willfully sitting there with his hand up, let me lead, let me lead, let me be a leader, let me be something. It's usually the one who falls away very quickly because pride puffed it up and leadeth unto the path of destruction. Pride could be simply thinking you are something, yet you're nothing. It could be simply that you start to liken yourself as the Messiah. You start to liken yourself as somebody who's supposed to lead the people. Maybe, and just like my brother said on the Bible study call, maybe 2 weeks ago, sometimes maybe your position is just making the bread. Sometimes your position is just making the bread. And believe it or not, that's okay. That part is just as important, if not more important, as the priest. Because when it came down to it, y'all was looking at what type of sacrifice, what type of offering you was getting. Not just the person who was giving, but what type. So you had an important job of making sure that showbread was right, making sure that peace offering, that meat offering was correct. And that's just as important. Don't think that the people who was at the forefront, meaning the face of something, is the most important people. Because the reality is those people need other people to do what they do. Let's think about it. They need more people to do what they do. So don't think that what you do is a small thing. The pinky toe is just as great as the thumb. The knee is just as great as the neck. They all play a very major part in the body, the flock of Yah's Green's pasture. So if y'all ready to get started on the lesson, type some ones in the chat. If y'all ready to get started, type some ones in the chat, and we about to get to it. Y'all ready to get started, type some ones in the chat. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's do a quick review real quick. Let me share my screen. Lamed, right? We in Lamed. Remember, Lamed is spelled with the Lamed, Mem, and Dalet. Lamed, Mem, and Dalet. And like we said before, when you actually break down the letters and you see the prophetical meaning behind it, it means he who carries the spirit of the shepherd that leadeth me towards the gates of righteousness. Let's say it again. Lamed, prophetical meaning is he who carries the spirit of the shepherd that leadeth me towards the gates of righteousness, right? And that's exactly Yeshua's purpose, is to lead us into all righteousness. For he is that door. He is that shepherd. He is the one who provided us those green pastures, right? He is that rod and that staff. He is all that in one. He is Echad. So it says Lamed. The pictograph image of Lamed represents a shepherd's staff. Or like we talked about before, it actually represents a chief shepherd's staff. You know anything about shepherds and even the co-shepherds, there's a distinct difference between the chief shepherd's staff and those who are co-shepherding. And that's a whole nother talk right there, right? So when we go into the meaning, means to teach, yoke, bind. We also found out it means to goading, and one who is taught, or the one who teaches, right? We went over the symbolic meaning of the Lamed, which means authority, correction, leadership, reign, guidance, weapon, used to perform God's miracles and to measure or calculate, right? So it says the Hebrew pictograph is a shepherd's staff. The shepherd's staff was used to direct sheep by pushing or pulling them. Now we went through this, right? Pushing or pulling can mean just bringing balance. Sometimes you got some sheep that you got to push because they're lazy. They don't want to move. They want to stay in the same place. They want to stay stagnant. But then you got other sheep you got to kind of pull back because they want to keep going. Those are ones that kind of a little bit more hasty. Those are ones that may even be led astray a little bit because they're moving at their own pace and not the pace of the master, right? So we have different personalities of sheep even amongst our people, right? I would just be honest. I'm going to be very clear. I'm the one that y'all has to pull back sometime because yes, I am one who, especially when I'm focused, I can get a little bit ahead of myself, right? My elder tell you that, but I have to get pulled back sometime because I have to be able to see the bigger picture, right? But that's the beauty of having these type of sheep, because the ones who pull and the ones who need to get pushed both balance each other out because they are used as in samples on what to look like, and we're able to extract different characteristics so that we can find that balance of being sheep and not getting ahead or lagging behind the master, right? So let's keep going. So it says, it was also used as a weapon against predators to defend and protect the sheep. So yeah, these shepherds, the staff and the rod was not just for correction, but it was also for your protection as well, right? It was to protect you against the evil ones. It was to protect you against those who opposed your king, who opposed the tabernacle, who opposed the temple that was there, or we can say pastor that was there to just nourish you, right? Then it says the meaning of this letter is toward, as moving something in a direction. So that tells you right there that the whole point of having the staff and the rod is to guide, direct, and move the sheep towards a certain direction, which would totally and utterly remove the idea that you should be leaning onto your own understanding and that you should be coming up with your own concepts on what life looks like. And that's dang near 50% of the problem with Israel, is that we're trying to dictate not only the pace, but we are trying to dictate the direction of where our life is supposed to go. Where, remember, you were already born with a purpose. You were already sanctified and anointed for a purpose that over a time of development, human development, you start to find out by coming into a posture of obedience who we are as he gives you your assignment along the way. But when you're sitting there hopping and skipping to every house and city and direction that God has not given you, you find yourself off track just to get right back to the position that you left off at. And that's one of the most hardest issues with our people is that we constantly trying to move the goalposts. We're constantly trying to find our own way, right? You got this same self-made. There's nobody self-made around here. There's not anything that was made without Yah. So when we start saying self-made and I did this for myself, you are totally and utterly taking the glory away from your master shepherd. Let's keep going. So it says, this letter also means authority, as it is a sign of the shepherd, the leader of the flock. It also means yoke, which is a staff on the shoulders, tie or bind, from an idea of the yoke that is bound to the animal. So that shows you that the staff represents the binding of the one who is in authority versus the one who's in subjection. Right? And I think it's interesting, like when we look at the word Talmud or Talmudim, there's only one Lamed, right? There's only one Lamed. Which means when it comes to a Talmudim or a Talmud, there should only be one master leader, or what they call Rabbi or Rabbi, right? When you look at the word Yeled, which means a child. So that shows you that even when it comes to a child, they should really only have one master. One master. When you look at the word, let's go with Leb or Lebeb, which actually references your mind. When you look at that, that represents within the house, there should only be one master. Your body is a house. Your body is a temple. Your body is the tabernacle. Within that house, within that temple, within that structure, there should only be one master. So you see when it comes to what they call the weaker vessel, let's even look at it from a wifely perspective or a child perspective or a student or servant perspective. Why is it that each one of these letters or each one of these functions, they all have Lamed in it? Because it's defining within that function, you have a need to have a master. So in that case, who is your master? You will know your master by the way you live. We can define your master by how the way you live your life. So see, Israel like to guess a lot about who's serving what. We don't have to guess no more. If you really know the book, if you really know the word, all you got to do is look at the tree and look at the fruit that it bears, to know who's been nourishing it, to know who's been taking care of it, to know who rules well over it. Look at the cup. You cannot drink the cup. You cannot drink the cup of Adonai and the cup of devils. You cannot. So we can define who's being led by who by looking at the work a person is doing. That don't mean just because a person doing work and they using the Bible that that's working the Most High. The work is like we want to realize when you really get down to the work, the whole point of a co-shepherd, the whole point of being in that posture, in that position, is to lead a person to the gates of righteousness. If your leader, if your moray, if your chief, your prince, your pastor, your shepherd, whatever you want to call them nowadays, if they're not leading you to the gates of righteousness, which is Yeshua, then they have to be leading you to the gates of what, y'all? Hell. They will have to be leading you to the gates of utter darkness. They will have to be leading you to the gates of the lake of fire. Because if they're not leading you into the gates of righteousness where there is life, go out, David, then they have to be leading you to the gates of death. There is no gray area with Yah. There is no in-betweeners with Yah. He said he'd rather have you cold than lukewarm. So it can be distinct on who you are and whose you are. A lot of us like to play the fence, but we have been called to a higher standard above this world. And a lot of us struggle in that area because we have not truly let go of our worldly, I'm speaking spiritual, but our worldly master. We have not let go of that old man who was there willfully serving sin, or that old woman who was willfully serving sin. And I know it's a struggle. We all struggle. Just man falls 7 times, but get back up an 8th. But it's those who make this walk grievous that we can really say you're struggling about which master you want to serve. You have yet not to understand the master's voice yet, because he said his sheep shall hear his voice. There should never be any confusion if you want to serve Yah or not. And you can't blame man, because every last one of us, from the greatest amongst us to the least amongst us, have been charged to study ourselves approved. So if you're only and solely leaning on the words of men, most likely you can be easily led astray. And that ain't nobody's fault except yours. That ain't nobody's fault except yours. So let's keep going. It says, this letter is used as a prefix to nouns meaning to or towards. The modern Hebrew name of this letter is lamed and is carried over into the Greek lambda. The Arabic name, however, is lam, retaining an older 2-letter root name for the letter and the probable original name. So you actually go into history, the original name was not lamed. They added that later on. It actually was lam, which is why I know, me personally, I'm gonna start studying a little bit Arabic, because I know there's certain ancient systems in linguistics that they still hold to that may have been done away with when it comes to certain modern languages in the Hebrew. So lam, when you break that down, it really means the spirit of the master or the spirit of the shepherd. So anybody who professes themselves to be a leader, you should be able to see Messiah in them, because they are going to carry the spirit of their master. You see that? If you're not seeing Messiah in them, then you have to be seeing something else. Because it's either Messiah way or no way. Period. And we have to stop being scared to be set apart in that way, to say, yeah, I don't see Messiah there. This is not for me, right? Or in a way of maybe helping that leader, right? We seen that, right? We even seen David, when his position of being a servant, still was there to help his master at that time, which is Saul, by playing his instrument and casting out a spirit. You see that? He was still able to be of service even when his leader went off to even help them in casting out a spirit. But we have a lot of people who are scared in a sense of their leaders to because you can help save that soul in that case, right? And the whole point is we're all supposed to be led to the gates of righteousness, even our leaders. So we have to be able to be there for one another if we truly love one another. You're not helping one another, even your leaders, when they going off, then you are just as bad as the one who's doing the offense. Right? That's why you see Leviticus 5, he who sees a swearing and does not utter it, he is just as accountable as the one who did that oath or swore. So you're just accountable as your leaders. Maybe not to the extent of the judgment or the accountability, but you would have accountability just as much to make sure that they are in righteousness as they have to make sure you're in righteousness. Because we all in this thing together. We all are in this thing together. So with that being said, let's get it. Let's get it. So we're gonna go back over a few verses before. If y'all see the scriptures, let me know. I'll make sure we can go ahead. Y'all see the scriptures? Type a 2 in the chat if y'all can see the scriptures. Type a 2 in the chat if y'all can see the scriptures. I want to make sure y'all can see my screen. All right, y'all probably okay. All right, let's get it. All right. So we have Proverbs chapter 27. We're gonna start at verse 23. We're gonna start at verse 23. So it says, be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds. So being the revelation of law, man, when we look at it, right, carrying the spirit of righteousness, you must, to carry it, remember it goes to the parable of saying that a good shepherd would leave the 99 and get the one. It is a shepherd or a pastor's or a teacher's or a chief or prince's or officer's job to make sure they know the state of their flock. Well, let's see, look at that word diligent. We went over that last time. Well, let's go over it again. Diligent. Yada. Diligent means to what? To know. You have to learn. You have to learn of your flock. Meaning you have to learn their character. You have to learn their weaknesses. You have to learn their strengths. You have to know where they're good at, where they're not of use at, right? You have to distinguish, right? By experience, recognize, admit, acknowledge, confess. You have to find out and discern. Find out and discern. Let's go down to there, right? To perceive, acquire knowledge, to know, to be acquainted. It is the duty, right? And this is why even as a leader, you have to know how much you can handle, right? Because sometimes we can overwhelm ourselves because, let's be honest, there's people who out here who seek for numbers. They seek for a certain type of number of members, but not realizing that, and we're going to go into that too, because we have a great example of what that looked like, where there was a elder who noticed a great leader that we reference to say, hey, man, this is too much for you to handle all these people by yourself, right? So as a leader, you got to know what you can handle and what you can't, right? And stop thinking so much about the numbers and people, but think about the cost. Consider the cost of what it would take for you to take on such amount of members and even such amount of certain type of personalities, because as leaders, we also got to know, and this is why I love me and Chief's balance with this, is that we have to know what personalities we can handle and what we can't, right? And I think we do a good and well job of that, right? Where he tell me, if, depending on somebody's spirit, hey, you know, you can handle that, or he see that it may be something, he'll handle himself. And that's why it's always good to have co-shepherds or co-laborers with you in this thing, because we have seen people do this thing by themselves and they go way off and they become gods unto themselves, or they think that they in some cases think they are Messiah, and that's dangerous. That is, and then believe it or not, being in this position, it actually is very easy to fall into a mindset like that, especially when you got, and I'm just being very honest with you, especially when you have dumb sheep who glorify the flesh more than the Father, right? Who's intrigued by the image of man versus the true image of Elohim. So they will glorify man and they will look past his infirmity. They would look past his mistakes because he's doing a great thing that they have never seen before, right? Which is why you go to Israel. And when Moses was in that mountain, what did they make? They said, let us make something that will kind of replace or be in the placement or represent Moses. They didn't say Yah. They didn't even say Yah. They said Moses. They said, let us make something that will kind of be in the position of Moses, not even Yah. Which tells you that we have always had a problem glorifying, worshiping, and praising men. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with exalting men. There's nothing wrong with giving somebody their accolades and their praise in that instance. But it should never be in a place where you're glorifying man more than Yah, where you're glorifying the traditions of man more than Yah. And we see that during Yeshua's time dealing with the Pharisees, right? So let's continue. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds, right? So he said, for riches are not forever, and doeth the crown endure to every generation? The hay appeareth, and the tender grass showeth itself, and herbs of the mountain are gathered. The lambs are for clothing, and the goats are the price of the field. That's pretty much going into something else, right? But let me know. Let's continue. It says, and thou shalt have goat's milk enough for thy food, for the food of thy household, and for the maintenance of thy maids. Right. So this is talking about a man who was being very attentive to his house and all that is in his house, from the flock down to the maidens, down to the children, and understanding that riches are not forever, and do the crown endure to every generation? Meaning, what does the crown represent? A crown represents wisdom. Is wisdom, knowledge, and understanding being passed down to every generation. All this, because riches are not forever, right? But Yah's word, Yah's knowledge is forever, and that's really our duty, to continue to pass down Yah's word and His righteousness from generation to generation to generation. Forget all this other stuff, right? Should a man leave a physical and natural inheritance? Absolutely, because it says a good man. But you should also be in a posture of teaching those flocks, whether that be people, children, wives, congregation, what's the meaning behind these things. And that was part of the problem with Israel, that we start to glorify the creation rather than the creator, when all these things were nothing but a shadow of his glory. And that's really what we should be focusing and passing on to every generation, is understanding His righteousness and how to obtain, retain, and sustain His glory, right? So let's keep going. Let's go to John 10. Matter of fact, we went over that last time, so I ain't gonna go again. So let's go to Mark 6. Let's go to Mark 6. Mark 6 and 4. Right? So now we're really going over the character of a shepherd, the character of let's say within his house, right? The character of a prince within his own house, right? So, because really Yeshua should be the king of every man's house. So the state or character of every prince of his own house, every prophet of his own house, every priest of his own house, or those who have been given the charge of having a co-shepherding position over Yah's flock. Let's go. So it's Mark 6, verse 4. It says, but Yeshua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. And he could there do not mighty work. And he could there do no mighty work, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went round about the villages teaching. And he called unto him the 12, and began to send them forth 2 by 2, and gave them power over unclean spirits, and commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, except for what, y'all? A staff only. No script, no bread, no money in their purse, but be shod with sandals, not put on 2 coats. Now, what was he trying to say, right? Because if you really look at what Yeshua is conveying, I need this to really hit y'all soul. Because Yah said what? The earth is his footstool, and the fullness thereof. Right? We go to Psalms 110, and David talking about the Lord said unto my Lord, right? And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Until all his enemies are under his foot. Talking about the earth. What Yeshua was teaching his disciples is how to move sovereign in the earth and expand the message. Because you see later on, he talks about how you should get all these things, especially when you come into somebody's house and there's peace there. Right? That's why I say, it said the birds don't ask for your shelter, no food, right? No clothing. But day by day, they are still supplied these, and I'm paraphrasing, but they are supplied these things. And we too, and that's what sovereignty really, you're able to move around the earth, not worry about these things. Because why? You are sovereign because your God is sovereign. Your Father is sovereign. Your King is sovereign. And if we know anything about a sovereign king, he makes sure all things under his authority, no matter where he tries and trails, is taken care of. And what Yeshua was trying to show them and teach them, putting them through what we call such rites of passage on how to move like him, is the natural things that you would need. Don't worry about. I just need you to take your staff only, because the staff represents what? Authority. Our staffs represent authority. It represents what? Correction, leadership. It represents guidance. It also represents a weapon. This is how we measure and calculate. So when we start getting down to what he was conveying, He's trying to teach them how to move in the same authority on the earth as he was. Because the master is no greater. I mean, the servant is no greater than his master. See that? This is what we should be shaping in ourselves to be like Elohim on earth. Because that was the original assignment given to man. That was the first assignment given to man, was to be fruitful and multiply and have dominion on the earth. Yeshua is trying to show us and convey to us how we get back to Eden. And I'm not just talking about a physical place, or I'm not talking about I'm talking about the mindset of being in Eden. The authority of being in Eden, where all things shall be under your foot. Huh? This is what Yeshua is trying to convey to us through his authority. Let's keep going. So it says, verse 10, and he said unto them, in what place soever ye enter in a house, there abide till ye depart from that place. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear you, when ye depart thence, shake off the dust under your feet, for a testimony is against them. And he's trying to show y'all how to have authority on earth. He's trying to show y'all how to move sovereign on earth. Huh? But we have to learn how to detach ourselves from these temporal things. Man should not live by bread alone. He's trying to show you how to hover his spirit across the earth. He's trying to show you how to move in oneness with his spirit on earth. This is the authority and the revelation Allah made to carry the authority of the Heavenly Father through Yeshua. He said, I do nothing that I've not seen my Father do. And we should be moving in that same authority. I do nothing that I've not seen my master do. Everything I've done, I've seen my master do. So when you start going and talking about he gave power to his disciples to heal. Why? Because he had the power to heal. He was not worrying about where he shall eat or where he shall stay. And he taught his disciples the same thing. Because he understood the mandate and mission. It's bigger than just saying, I'm from the land Eretz Yisrael. I'm from the land of Israel. He was talking about heavenly things, heavenly power. To be called Yisrael is to have what? Power. Because what is in Yisrael? The last Hebrew letter is Lamed. To have authority and power between God and man. But we're not ready for that type of power. Because we're too busy thinking material things. Huh? And I'm not knocking the material things, because they are a reflection and a shadow of that which is spiritual. But when you make the thing that is natural more spiritual than the thing itself, the spiritual thing itself, you have made creation your God. And that has been the problem with Israel. We have made man our God. We have made land our God. We have made wood our God. We have made gold and stones and crystals our God. We have made herbs our God. We have made food our God. We have made things that's lower than ourselves our God. And wondering why we still struggling in captivity. Because we literally said we are not of this world, which means we are of higher power. Man, listen. We are way above these things that we're struggling with right now. And that's what he was trying to give his son, his firstborn son, Yisrael. I'm trying to give you the inheritance, the heavenly and earthly inheritance. To tell Yisrael, Abba Yaakov, I shall change your authority. That's what name means. When he changed his name, he had changed his authority. When he changed his name, he had changed his authority. You will no longer be a servant, but you shall be my son. And with every son, every firstborn son, comes an inheritance. Comes an inheritance. Israel, you losing out on your inheritance. Because we arguing over dumb shit. Excuse my language. You be arguing about feast days. I'm trying to get the eternal treasures of heaven. Because I understood the feast days was nothing but a shadow of Yeshua. It was nothing but a shadow of my redemption. So I'm not going to be so attached to these things that I miss out on the true meaning of these things, which is salvation in Yah. Your name defines your authority. And this is why we say you should be more careful about what you name yourself or what you name your children, because you don't even know if that is the inherited responsibility given to them. We never moved like a people. We just give ourselves names for no reason. Because behind us was a community and village that was able to see the purpose of this child. A lot of y'all naming yourself after certain people, biblical characters, because the shit sound cool. Huh? It sound cool. You want to name yourself Dawid. Talking about you the beloved of Yah. You don't even know what that means to be beloved of Yah. Huh? Want to name your yourself Moshe, the child Moshe. Don't even know if they got the spirit to draw out people to Yah. Huh? If you truly understood the accountability and responsibility with the authority, responsibility, and name you putting on yourself and your children, you will be more cautious with it. Because you're going to be charged with that. You know how heavy it is to have my name, Mikael, who is like God, who is like Elohim, who carries the likeness of Elohim? That's a tall cup to measure up to. But I understand that I can't do it without Yah, and I never would. Because the reality is, I have no authority without his name being in my name. His authority is attached to me, or I'm attached to him. Let's keep going. And whosoever shall not receive you nor hear you, when ye depart thence, shake off the dust under your feet, for a testimony is against them. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Ooh, wee. That is the authority you carry in every city, every state, every country you in. You think America is still up just because? No, because Yah's children is here. Yah's children is here. If there be one in the city that's righteous, would you save it? Yes, Abraham, I would. If there's 10 in the city that is righteous, would you save it? Yes, I would, Abraham. Which shows you how much power and authority you got between God and man, that by your presence, you are able to save a city. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm speaking. We in that season. We in that season when we got to wake up and realize the posture we should be in. And I'm not talking about where you got this much power as a God to yourself. You only have this power being in submission with Yah. You got the power to save lives by just your presence being there. I think Yah and I have been a witness of what that looks like. Whether it be myself or those around me. You have the power to save lives by just your presence. By just your presence. But you also have the power to take away through Yah. That if they ain't accepting that, that city gonna be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. Y'all better stop playing with Yah. Y'all better stop playing like he ain't the God of heaven and earth. Verse 12, and they went out and preached that man should repent, right? This should be the ultimate message. And they cast out many devils and anointed with oil many that were sick and healed them. This was the mandate. All those who of the Pt.2, the house of disciples or the house of students under Yeshua's teachings. This was the mandate, that you go out and heal the sick, the blind, and deaf and dumb. That we are also here to assist Yeshua in setting the captives free. That is your mission within your office. That is the mission within your office. So then you have to ask yourself, have you been in a posture long enough where you're able to cast out devils now? That you're able to heal the blind and sick, deaf and dumb, and set the captives free? Because if you're calling yourself Yeshua's Talmudim, this is your mandate within your office. To assist in the kingdom of setting the captives free to return back home. Do you carry the character of the master? Psalms 143. Psalms 143 verse 10. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my Elohim. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. You are my master. You are my power. How many of us truly know the will of Yah? I ask y'all on this live right now, those who watching, what do you believe the will of Yah is? Type it in the chat. Let me see what y'all think. What do you believe the will of Yah is? What do you believe the will of Yah is? Type it in the chat. Don't be scared. If you don't know, you don't know. There's nothing wrong with that. That's why we're here. What do you believe the will of Yah is? Type it in the chat. Somebody said the kingdom on earth. Okay. That's all we got. One answer. You don't know. You don't know. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Kingdom on earth. Anybody else? What do you believe the kingdom of king, or what do you believe the will of Yah is for us? All right, I ain't gonna push y'all to do it if you don't know. But I would encourage you all to truly pray, as David was praying and praising. Teach me, Yah, your will. Teach me your will, Father. Teach me how to serve you. Teach me how to love you. That's one of my constant prayers. Teach me your will. Teach me how to serve you. Because finding out his will then in turn help you find out what your purpose in his will is. There are many people walking around here been in this walk 5, 6, 10 plus years and still don't understand what the will of Yah is. Neither do they understand what their purpose in Yah's will is. So I would encourage you all, pray to the Father, what is his will? Through finding out his will, you will find out your purpose. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God. Thy spirit is good. And we know in Hebrew, the word good is what? Tov. So what does it say? He said your spirit is functional. Your spirit is functional. Lead me into the land. You see that? That's what I was talking about. What did Lamed mean? He who carries the spirit of the shepherd that leadeth me towards the gates of righteousness. So your leader should be teaching you Yah's will. Because his God is your God. And his spirit should be functional because Yah's spirit is functional. Therefore, your leader should be leading you into the land or gates of what? Righteousness. Righteousness. If they are not leading you to Yah, into the gates of righteousness or the land of righteousness, they are no leader of Yah's. They are no leader of Yah's. That should be the way, the truth, and the life. Verse 11, quicken me, O Yah, for thy name's sake, for thy righteousness' sake, bring my soul out of trouble. And of thy mercy, cut off my enemies and destroy all them that afflict my soul, for I am thy servant. See, David understood the mission. He understood the mandate. He understood the purpose of why we here. It was not to be gods unto ourselves, but it was to help usher God's kingdom on earth. And through that, we become rewarded like David did, even in his infirmities and his sin, because he had a heart after his master. His name has lasted forever, or lasted even unto this day. How will your name or authority on earth be remembered? Will it be remembered in vanity, in darkness and chaos, or will it be remembered in righteousness? Say, and when they say that you serve the mighty Elohim. Let's go to Isaiah 8. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 16. It said, I'm going to start at verse 16. It says this: bind up. Remember, that's one of the names, right? So when we're talking about, I'm about to grab it now. When we're talking about a staff, right? It got that hook. That hook is able to bind or put a yoke around that sheep's neck or that goat's neck. And it says, bind up thy testimony, right? Because remember, what was put into the ark? It was what was put into the ark was Aaron's staff, which represented authority, and Yah's instructions. It was something else. I cannot remember off the top of my head, right? It was something else. Y'all can help me out. But I know that for a fact. It was the Yah's instructions, which is his commandments, 2 tablesstones, and it was Aaron's rod or staff to represent the authority. And the instructions that's bound, the testimony. That's what it is, the testimony. Because remember, he said put a testimony within the ark, and then he said put a testimony on the side of the ark that will be against the people. So the testimony in the ark, that was what was bound. And that ark of covenant was supposed to represent our mind, right? So we're supposed to bind up his testimony into our minds. We're supposed to bind up his commandments on our foreheads. We're supposed to bind up his commandments on our hands, which show the labor or work of the work of the Lord, right? All this was supposed to be a shadow of things representing that we were binding his testimony unto us. And it says, seal the law among my disciples. Seal, right? And that's talking about a yoke. We're supposed to yoke the law amongst us. You see that? So you being Talmudim disciples, servants of the Almighty Yah, are supposed to bind up the testimony, right? And law amongst my disciples. This is what anybody who's teaching or serving the people should be teaching you. Bind up his testimony and put the law in your heart. Seal up the law amongst my disciples. What it say in verse 20? To the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, to this Torah, to this instruction that was what? Given to the Talmudim or the disciples, if they are not speaking, right? Matter of fact, let me just read from this. And I will wait upon Yah that hide his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, because remember, he said you have 5 wise virgins and 5 fools, 5 foolish virgins. We want to be those wise virgins who waiting up, right? He said, watch and pray. We want to be the ones watching and praying for the return of our masters. And I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yah have given me. Woo-wee. I and the children whom Yah have given me, for signs and for wonders in Israel, from Yahweh Zebaoth, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God? For the living to the dead, to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Let's reword that. If they speak not according to this word, it is because Yeshua is not in them. It is because Yeshua is not in them. Because it is he who was before Abraham. It is he who came in the volume of the book. He is the law. He is that testimony. He is all in all. Huh? I'm about to go somewhere else with it. But we're going to stay right here. If they not speak according to this word, it is because Yeshua is not in him. Because any disciple of Yeshua will constantly preach the gospel and word of Yeshua. Of Yeshua. I'm giving y'all the blueprint on how to cancel Christmas on some of these Negroes. Because a lot of them are wolves in sheep clothing using Yeshua's name to build their own platforms. Huh? So by the time they get to a certain level, you rarely hear Yeshua and you hear more of their own name getting glorified. Ooh wee. You hear more of their own name getting glorified. So this is a testimony against all of us. After this, if they're not really truly speaking, living, and walking in the authority of Yeshua, because it's not in them. And if you're still following, it's because Yeshua is not in you. Because his sheep hear his voice. That's what it says. His sheep hear his voice. Let's go. Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Uh-oh. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 11. The words of the wise are as golds, right? Golds. Let's go to that word real quick, right? So you understand exactly what it is. Oh yeah, this one I actually look up the definition. It ain't really get no definition. Hold on, I'm gonna show y'all what golds mean. Y'all can see for yourselves. Hold on. The words of the wise are as golds, right? What is golds? I'm gonna share my screen so y'all can see. Right, so let's look at the word golds. Right, gold means to provoke, or in any case, annoy someone, so as to stimulate some action or reaction. Huh? Gold means to provoke or annoy, so as to stimulate some action or reaction. So when we look back at this word, right? Let me share my screen again. Let's put it in proper context. It says the words of the wise are as golds. So it means that the words that they speak should be able to provoke you to some action. The words of the wise should be able to provoke you to action. And as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. Now going back, remember, one of the definitions of lamed is golding. So anytime that there is a shepherd, right, he should be able to provoke by his rod and staff based upon the instruction of that one shepherd and pierce the instructions of that one shepherd in that sheep. And just like we watched that video, over time, as the sheep understands that master, understands his voice, understands his whips, understands his even certain sounds, understands his footsteps, understands the commands, they become more comfortable and they start to trust the shepherd more, which then causes the shepherd to trust them more. But this comes by way of constant and consistent practicing, constant and consistent laboring in the word of truth. A lot of us don't understand the master's voice because we have not truly labored in the word. Let's just be honest. You about 6, 7, 8 years in, 5 years in, still struggling on if you want to be in this walk because you have not only tested the master's words, but you have not put it in true, proper, and practical practice. So of course you're not going to understand the master's voice because the reality is you truly have not been laboring with the master. You've been wandering off every so often, every season, whether that be in your mind or physically. So it says, as nails fastened by the master's assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. From one shepherd. Let's read this next word. I think this is good too. It says, further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. And books can represent doctrines. Books can represent doctrines. So it's telling his son that you studying and going into different doctrines of books, there is no end. Which is why you see a great falling away now. People going in a different spiritual system, talking about these different avenues lead you to one path. And Yah, that's a lie. Only righteousness can get you to Yah. Not sitting in these different devoted postures of yoga, comedic practices that will get you to Yah, because those all are dedicated to different deities. And Yah said, you shall put no God before me. And when you go into the Hebrew, it says, you should put no God in front of me. Because where should Yah be dwelling? In your mind. He should be dwelling in the holies of holies. So when you constantly putting different doctrines in right there, when you constantly putting different deities right here, when you constantly putting different conversations and ideas right here, he's telling you, put no gods in front of me. Put no gods in front of my face. And that was the problem with Israel. When we sacrifice to Yah, we put another deity right next to the altar to sacrifice to a whole nother deity. And we do it to this day in many different forms. Whether we make food our God, whether we make our belly our God, whether we make ourselves our God, whether we make crystals our God, we are putting other gods before him daily. Daily. Because we believe that these different things are, these spiritual practices will set us free from this oppression, the depression, and suppression that we suffer in this captivity. But only God can set you free. Only Yah can heal you. Only Yah can restore you into good health. Not you going to these different spiritual practices, trying to find these different mediums. No. I've seen more people go forward than toward doing that stuff. And all you do is still stay in a comfortable confusion. Because you don't feel bound to Yah's law no more. Now you're bound to other deities. Getting spiritually molested. Just being honest. I'm not trying to make light or fun of that type of thing, but that's real reality. You over here getting spiritually molested because you can't stand still. And you have become a harlot and a whore to many different gods. They pass you around the block because you can't stay committed to the one master, one shepherd, and one king that you have. So let's go to some examples. We're going to Exodus 18. I don't know why I keep doing that. We go to Exodus 18. We're going to start at verse 13, right? Going into a co-shepherding posture. Going into a co-shepherding posture. It says this, and it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from the morning until the evening. And when Moses, father-in-law, saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning to evening? And Moses said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God. Let's stop right there real quick, right? So we're identifying that obviously the people are coming to Moshe to inquire, right? So he's playing in the posture of an intercessor, one who is obtaining the power between Yah and man, right? He has reached that epitome. And so Jethro comes and see this thing. He just grieved to his soul. Why are you doing this thing? Like, why are you in this posture and the people are in that posture, right? And so Moses tell him why, right? So then this is what happens. He says, verse 16, and when they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one another. I do make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws. So he's been in a posture to co-shepherd these people, to teach them of the ultimate master, right? And I can guarantee you, me and Elder could tell you that that's not an easy thing. Especially again, we talking about sheep, especially dumb sheep constantly wandering off. You got to constantly put them in check. You got to constantly watch after them. You got to constantly feed them. You got to constantly make sure they're going in the right direction. And then the ones who are more stubborn than others, you got to pull them, and then you got to push them. And it's a lot that goes into shepherding sheep, right? And people are often the same way. And Jethro was able to see, like, how you gonna do all these sheep, all these people, you gonna help lead them to Yah by yourself. That's what you plan on doing. So verse 17 says, Moses' father-in-law said to him, the thing that thou doest is not good. The thing that thou doest is not truly functional, which means what he's really saying is like how you're doing it is really more so is going to at some point going to be dysfunctional. It's going to be dysfunctional. This is one man leading all these people. And it's only one person, one spirit that's able to lead a whole people. And even he has enough wisdom to say, I need to station those in my likeness and image in certain spots that they can handle these multiple facets of problems that going on amongst my people, right? Because this is what sovereignty looks like, to be at many different places simultaneously at one time. This is what it means to be sovereign, to be at many different places simultaneously at one time. Right? So it says, so we actually get to see really the dynamic as it unfolds of how Yah operates with man based upon what we see what Jethro is helping Moshe do, which is extend himself through other men, right? Extend himself. That's why I said Moses shall be his God and Aaron shall be as his prophet, to extend himself through multi-functions or microcosms of people, right? So let's keep going. So it says, verse 18, thou wilt surely wear away, but thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. So his elder, right, his father-in-law, his Zaquan, was able to tell him, hey, this thing, like, as much as I understand you probably come from pure heart, this thing is too heavy for you alone. All right? This thing, and keep in mind, Jethro had nothing to do with it, but he looked a stranger, not to him, but to the nation, telling him, hey, man, hey, this is not good. I'm telling you now, this is not good. This is not good, right? Some of us oftentimes get that pat on the shoulder by somebody we didn't expect to say, hey, man, this ain't the right way. But pride puff them up and lead them to the path of destruction. And sometimes a lot of leaders don't want to take that, especially from somebody they think is not part of the mission or part of their organization or part of the plan. Who are you to tell me what I'm doing? Maybe they were y'all sent to tell you, hey, this thing that you're doing ain't good. You need a little bit more help. So he said, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Hearken now to my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God. Now that's deep. Let's look at this word. Be thou for the people to Godward. Let's look at this word. What does that mean? What does that mean to be Godward? Ooh wee. What does that say, y'all? Elohim. That's what it says. Elohim. Elohim. Huh? So what is he saying? Be thou for the people like Elohim, that thou mayest bring the causes unto Elohim. Jethro was teaching him, this is how you move in this position sovereignly. And we're going to go through all of it to show you. This is how you be like Elohim on earth and bring these causes to Elohim, right? This is how you create a sound judgment or a system that has sound judgment. Let's keep going. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. So he was telling them, no, you don't take this on your own. You show them how to walk, and you show them the work that they got to do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able. Man, let's go to that word able. Let's go to that word able. Able. Hi. What does that say? Chayil. Chayil. So man of strength, man of ability, efficient man, men with wealth, force, huh? Give them protectors is what he's saying. Give them providers. Give them men who have efficient works. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of them all the people able men. So as leaders, we should be able to produce more leaders that can be of assistance to Yah's flock. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men. This is the first characteristic they must have. Such as fear Elohim. The beginning of what? Knowledge is what? The fear of Yah. Men of truth. Hating covetousness. And place such over them to be rulers of the thousands. Look at this word, rulers. Close that door, Dawid. No, you got to go over there. Uh-oh, what that word say? Sar. Sar. Huh? Sar means chief, a vessel, noble, captain, general, prince, ruler, chief, official, elders. Huh? So what is he saying? Place such over them to be elders or chiefs or princes, officials of 1,000. Now we're getting into government, y'all. We're getting into government. So even if you look at the presidential system, the president don't make decisions by himself. He himself must go to a council and make an executive decision as a collective. And this is exactly what Jethro was telling Moshe. You need a government of renowned men that fear Yah, men of truth, that hate of covetousness, one who is renowned, a force to be reckoned with in their community, to have rule or be elders over thousands, over hundreds and fifties and tens, which even going down to that, different accolades of different people you should be over is based upon what? What you can handle. He gave 1 talent to one. He gave 5 talents to another. He gave 10 talents to another. So you have to be able to know the state of thy flock, even amongst those who you labor with, to know how much they can, oh my God, to how much they can handle. So this is a message I pour out even to my leaders. No matter if you got a lot of members or not, Just know Yah was perfect and sound when he gave you that people. He knew that you could handle that many people. And it's through how you handle that and multiply that if he will give you more. How are you nurturing and nourishing your flock? And he measures what you do with them based upon how good of a work you do. Jethro understood this. You need to have men in place that can handle certain matters that you don't have to handle all the time. This is what Yah was conveying when he put leaders. He put shepherds. And he said, I've given you pastors, shepherds, prophets, teachers to the perfecting of the kingdom, to all come into one faith. So where do we get this idea that leaders should be that they're here for a purpose? Now, should they be lords over you? No. Should they be stealing Yah's glory? No. But should leaders be here? Yes. Because the reality is Israel, even today, is as dumb sheep who goes astray. And to think that you can do this by yourself and be a leader to yourself, you are literally a fool. You are a fool. Even the prophets, when you go into the history of the prophets, even they came back at times and came into the temples. Huh? Even they came back at times. So we got to start bringing balance to this conversation. It's not about if men should rule you or not. It's about what did Yah have in place since the beginning and what he shall have at the end. Because he's still going to have 24 sarim. Huh? He's still going to have 24 sarim. He's going to have 12 zakwanim. He's still going to have 24 elders. 12 at the right, 12 at the left. So he's going to have a government. Yah has never been opposed to leadership. He's just been opposed to hypocritical, deceptive, evil leadership. There's a difference. There is a difference. Verse 22. And let them judge the people at all seasons. So you ain't taking, if you a teacher, you a leader, you a shepherd, you ain't got no seasons off. Let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they should judge. So there's a hierarchy when it comes to this. This is also something the leader should know. Don't mean that just because a person can't handle a great matter, they're not a leader. But everything is baby steps. One leader may have to just start with 10 people. That's fine. And when he shows that he has achieved how to help judge and rule over those people, he gets more. This is what a real good leader does. He's able to attend to the state of his flock and be able to guide them and nurture them based upon where they're at and their state of mind at that moment, or how their functionality at that moment. But if you're not multiplying what you already got, whether that be small or great, then the work is not there. So it says, "So it shall be easy for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee." See, and that's what you have to understand. You're not supposed to carry this thing by yourself. Yah didn't even design it for him to carry this by. Not to say he can for sure. Well, like any good master, you want to make the load a little lighter. You want to make the burden a little easier so you can attend to other things and expand your borders more. If a king constantly got to stay in one area because the people ain't getting right, he ain't gonna never expand. He's never going to expand because he got to constantly be at one place at one time because they not getting right. So that's why he told him, you need to get men that's renowned. You need to get renowned, able, honorable man amongst you doing good works in the community that could take some of this burden off you. Verse 23. If thou shalt do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure. And all this people shall also go to their place in peace. Right? Because when you handling all that by yourself, all them problems just stack and stack and stack and stack. And the people eventually become weary because their requests or their issue that they have are not being answered or fixed. Right? So you set people in place in order so that you yourself, man, he's trying to teach us sovereignty. He is trying to really teach us how to be sovereign and be fruitful. Why do you think he said be fruitful and multiply? Men, he is trying to show you how to expand your home. He is trying to show you how to expand your borders, but in righteousness. But when you're moving on your own accord, on your own law, on your own rule, the reality of all things in man, there's limitations. But when you're moving in the sovereignty of Elohim and putting on his garments of righteousness, his breastplate of righteousness, and his helmet of salvation, you're able to then truly in righteousness be fruitful and multiply. And all these arguments that we have, we wouldn't have no more, because truly you're moving in the love, power, and authority of Elohim. He is truly becoming your master at that point. And all those who are under you, you become their master in that sense, because they understand that Yah is with you as he was with Abraham. Ooh, that's a different level right there, boy. That's a whole nother level right there. But Abraham was moving in total and utter authority on this earth, able to shift the consciousness and state of civilizations like Egypt. A lot of y'all don't know that. Abraham was teaching some of the Egyptians, the kings and rulers and governments of Egypt, teaching them how to truly move in the elements of Yah. Now, obviously, they didn't follow it to a certain degree, but nonetheless, he started to teach them even how to read the stars, teach them how to understand the seasons. He was teaching him these things, man. So it says this. Verse 23 again. Verse 24, I'm sorry. So Moses hearkened unto the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. And Moses chose able men out of all Israel, made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of 100, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moshe. With every small matter, they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land. That just show you, man. Let's keep going. We'll go to Colossians 1. I can go all day on this. We'll go to Colossians. We're gonna move on. If y'all understand it so far, if y'all getting the message, type in some nines in the chat. If y'all getting the message, y'all understand, type in some nines in the chat. I want to make sure y'all understand me. I hope we following along. If you understand what I'm saying, type in some nines in the chat. Before we move on. All right, cool. Let's keep going. All right, let's get to Paul. Colossians chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, an apostle Yeshua HaMashiach, by the will of Elohim, and by Timothy, our brother, to the saints and faithful brethren in Hamashiach, which are at Colossus, grace be unto you and peace from Elohim, our Abba, and the Adon, Yeshua HaMashiach. So Paul starts off by introducing not only himself but who he's with, and he walks and then he introduces himself with the seal and authority of his master. See, we've been getting away from that. See, right? And I'm not necessarily knocking it, right? But if you want to be real technical and Hebraic thought, we really should be called after the name of our fathers or our master, right? So, like for me, really my name should be Mikael ben Mikael, because my father's name is Michael, right? We walk after the authority of our masters or our father's name. So Paul came in the authority of his master's name, making sure I'm laying down who our father is and who our master is. We give thanks to Yahweh and the Father of our Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach, praying always for you, since we heard of your faith in Yeshua HaMashiach and of the love which ye have to all the saints, For the hope which is laid up for you is in heaven, whereof ye heard before in the word of the truth of the gospel, which is come unto you, as it is in all the world, bringeth forth fruit, as it doeth also in you, since the day ye heard of it, and knew the grace of Elohim in truth. Also ye also, as ye also learned of Epaphras, our dear fellow servant, who is for you a faithful minister of Yeshua. So now we're seeing Yeshua's government be set up. What he's talking about, what's being bestowed upon you and through you is our master's servants, our master's government officials. We're serving you through our master's servants. He said, who also declare unto us your love in the spirit. For this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you and to desire that ye might be filled with the knowledge what? Of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. And this as fellow servants, and this as fellow disciples and apostles of Hamashiach, Talmudim, when we see that people are trying to reach the truth through Hamashiach, we should also be praying for them that they may get filled with his will. All in wisdom and spiritual understanding. Because once they get filled with his will, understand, we become what? Kindred. Who is my mother? Who is my father? Those, or my brother and my cousin, all right? Those who do the will of my Father. So we should be praying for those also interested in the truth, or those seeking the truth, that they may be filled as we are filled with the knowledge of his will and all wisdom and understanding, that ye might walk worthy of Yahweh unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, increasing in the knowledge of Elohim, strengthened with all might according to his glorious what? Power. Unto all patience and long suffering with joyfulness, giving thanks unto the Father, which have made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in what, y'all? Light. And light is what? Life. And light represents what? Righteousness. That we made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints of his righteousness, y'all, who have delivered us from the power of darkness and have translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, in whom we have what? Redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature. How do we know that? Because we read that in Genesis 1, better sheep, chapter 1, verse 3. For him, really actually verse 1, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones. Hold on now. Hold on. Verse 15. It said that he is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions. Are we saying, is he saying Yeshua made these thrones? Dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things. And by him, all things consist. I'm going to take a side note break real quick. Let's go to this real quick. I got to move in the spirit because it's right there. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. And the Word was, what does that say, y'all? The Word was what, y'all? I'm putting it in the chat. What was the Word? In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was who? The Word was who, y'all? Oh, we got to deal with it now. The Word was who? This is something I wrestled with for years. I accept it and embrace it now. The word was who, y'all? The word was who? Some of y'all about to hop off here. Y'all still gonna be scared to say it. The word was who, y'all? I ain't make the scripture up. The word was who? The word was Yah. The word was Yah. The word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him. Who was that him? In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. All things were made by God, and without God was not anything made that was made. In God was life, and the life was the light of men. Let's go back now. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth. Let's do this. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created that are in heaven, that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were made by him and for him. And he is before all things. Because what does Yahweh mean? He who was, he who is, and he who will be. And he is before all things. And by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, or he is the head of the tabernacle. He is the high priest of the temple. He is the high priest of the tabernacle. He is the head of the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have preeminence. Let's look at what this word preeminence means. Preeminence means to hold the first place. To hold the first place. That he may be first. Verse 19. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell, and having made peace through the blood of his cross, or we're going to say sign or seal, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. Whoa. But I thought Yeshua was leading people to Yah. But we see it say Yeshua created the thrones. Yeshua, what else did he create? Let's go back to it real quick. Where'd it go? I lost my what? I'm getting so excited I lost my place. Let's see. Right. Yeshua created the thrones, the dominions, the principalities, and powers. All things are made by him. So, just a little side question that I challenge you all on. If Yeshua is not God, but it says that God created all things, but then it also says that Yeshua created all things, but then it also says Yeshua reconciled all things to himself, how is Yeshua separate from God? Question I challenge you all on. Verse 21. Let me read 20 again. Having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. By him, I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. And you that were sometimes alienated and enemies in your mind. It didn't say your outward, it said in your mind. Because it said what? Let this mind be in you as it was in Christ. So obviously the opposite of not having the mind of Christ is you were functioning and moving in the mindset of a devil, of Shaitan. And you that was sometimes alienated, separated, that's what I mean, kicked out, estranged, and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now have he reconciled, who reconciled you, Yeshua, in the body of his flesh through death, to present you holy and unblameable and unrebukable. That's a side note, it's a side joke. Unreprovable in his sight. If ye continue in the faith, grounded in self, this is what should be grounded at. We should be getting grounded in our faith. If ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel, which you have heard. Every last one of us on this live here is because you heard the gospel. Whether that be from us or somebody else, you heard the gospel. That's how you in this walk. You heard the gospel. You heard the master's voice. Be not moved away from the hope of the gospel, which ye have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven. Whereof I am Paul. I Paul am made a minister, who now rejoice in my suffering for you. So as leaders, as your servants, we should take joy and rejoice in our suffering for you, because that's what the shepherd does for the sheep. He takes the blows to protect the sheep. They take the fight in the battle to protect the sheep. They take the war wounds to protect the sheep. And we rejoice and count it all joy, who now rejoice in my sufferings for you, and fill up that which is behind of the afflictions of a Mashiach in my flesh for his body's sake, which is the church. See, that's the part I'm talking about. As leaders, you got to know if you're willing to lay your life down for the sheep, even the ones who may be rebellious. Because even Yeshua, knowing Judas was amongst them, still laid his life down. Even Yeshua, knowing a Judas was amongst them, still laid his life down. Not for his sake, but for Hamashiach's body's sake. Because that is what a good shepherd does. I'm speaking to myself on this one because it's hard, especially when you got some stubborn, rebellious Negroes who truly, just be honest with you, don't give a damn about you and only in it for themselves. It's hard to sit there and just take them lashes like that. I am a witness, an experiencer in that. It's a hard thing because what comes with it is false reports. What comes with it is stripes of verbal violence sometimes, right? The defamation of character at times. It's a hard thing, but we rejoice because we know at the end of the day, it's for Hamashiach's body's sake, which is his church. And he said the servant is not greater than his master. If they hated him, then of course they're going to hate you, pastor, shepherd, moray, chief, prince. Of course they're going to hate you. Of course they're going to say things about you. But that's the job that you've been charged with. And so long as you keep steady and fast and putting Hamashiach at the forefront of your ministry, you shall not be moved. You shall not be moved. So I send this even to my leaders amongst us. Hey, count it all joy. Hold fast to that which is good. And as long as you continue to endure to the end for your master's sake, there's a crown waiting for you. There's a crown waiting for you. Don't know why I'm going here, but we here now. Verse 25, whereof I made a minister according to the dispensation. The dispensation of God, which is given to me for you to fulfill the word of Elohim, even the mystery which have been hid from ages, and from generations, but now is made manifest. To his saints, because this is the day the prophets prayed for. They wish they could have seen this day. They wish they could have been in the position that we in to look back to know the future. They had nothing but faith to move on. But we're able to tell the end by the beginning. They was not. We're in the great dispensation of time, y'all. A great one. We've been chosen for a great dispensation of time. If you lose out on the kingdom, it's because of you. I'm speaking to myself right now, too. If you lose out on the kingdom, it's because of you. You are better off and more equipped than those before you, even down to your ancestors that we constantly talk about that was in slavery, who did not have the book. But it was their faith that made them get through, singing songs like Kumbaya, my Lord, when the saints come marching in. You are in a better equipped position than all of them. Yet you are dropping the ball more worse. He said this day is more worse than Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall be as the days of Noah. Sodom and Gomorrah, just one city got destroyed. During the days of Noah, the whole world had to get destroyed. Y'all ain't hearing me though. Verse 27. To whom God would make known, which is the riches of the glory of this mystery amongst what, y'all? The Gentiles. He made this mystery known, the riches of the glory of this mystery known among the Gentiles, which is Hamashiach in you, the hope of glories. So who did he make it known for? Because who did he put in the midst of the Gentiles? Ooh, I understand what Elder's saying. Who did he put in the midst of the Gentiles to understand the rich glory of this mystery? It was you. You think that you just got dispersed because of your captivity? You got dispersed because any good king, when he goes to battle, he stations his soldiers. So when the time of attack comes and he sounds the alarm and he lights that torch upon the hills to let them know it's wartime, they'll get the call. You are dispersed because there's a war going on. And when the time comes, the sons of light shall battle the sons of darkness. You are stationed, soldier. You are stationed, servant. You are stationed, son and daughter, for a greater person. And you think it ain't just about captivity. You are stationed to plant the seed of righteousness by way of his word in the earth. So when it says the lamed, it said it's man one who is to be stationed. Ooh, wait. Y'all, I'm learning while I'm teaching y'all. To have the lamed is to be stationed. To be stationed. Every shepherd who is stationed had a staff to help guide the sheep. It was not by coincidence that we're here. We're not just here for captivity. But when the shofar, the sign of war, is let off, I really hope y'all prepared. So it says, verse 28, whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that ye may present every man perfect in Yeshua HaMashiach. I'm going to read that again. Whom we preach, warning, because that's what watchmen is. They protect us as well. They watch, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in HaMashiach. Whereunto I also labor, striving according to his working, which worketh in me mightily. If your teacher, your pastor, whoever he may liken himself to be in an authoritative position, is not working in the work of Yeshua that worketh in him, he is no leader of yours. So let's go to the teaching of the master to his student. Let's go to the teaching of the master to his student. Verse 1. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. When he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, let's see what the master is going to teach his servants. Let us see what the master is going to teach his servants. It said, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of Elohim, or kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And I hope y'all take in context that when he's talking about bless, he's talking, because remember, to bless something means that you're in a posture of subjection. You're in a posture of submission. So he really said, I'm going to come bless those who are in the posture of needing me. Right? To be poor in spirit is someone who needs Yah. To be in mourning is somebody who needs the comfort of Yah. To those who carry a meek spirit is those who really have taken on the character of Yah. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst for righteousness. This is talking about a character trait, y'all. For they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. He is blessing those who carry the character, authority, and image and likeness of his son. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children, B'nai Elohim. Blessed are they which persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and shall persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely. For whose sake? Not your own sake, for his sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Now y'all know, when you go to the life of the prophets, were they accepted amongst the people? No. They were persecuted. They weren't popular. And I saw this other day, post other day. They weren't popular. They weren't super famous. They weren't people who were just everywhere and then some. They were people who were truly despised by their own people. And every time that they came around, a fury of anger and fear would come over the people because they knew that these people were walking in the authority of Yah. Verse 13, ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. He's teaching them their position on the earth. Ye are the salt of the earth, disciples. If you lose your flavor, which is Yah, wherewith shall you be salted then? And you become good for nothing and be cast out. Now he's telling you, disciples of Yeshua, ye are the light of the world. Why? Because your master is the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Stop dimming your light for insecure Negroes. Stop dimming your light because people cannot comprehend the light like you do because they call it utter darkness. You were made to stand out and be different and set apart, even amongst your own people. Even amongst your own people. Because you became the standard. Once you started filling yourself with Yeshua. And the reality is, the darkness hated the light because it comprehended it not. This is what comes with the task of being disciples, servants, and sons of Elohim. Of course, we're going to be despised in the earth and world that's full of utter darkness. Of course. It comes with the territory. Gird up your loins and strap up your boots. Because we're in the middle of a war. And we're warring for the minds of the people. The citizens of the kingdom minds is kept captive in another kingdom full of darkness. And you are placed in this dispensation. in the midst of this kingdom of darkness to set the captives free. No, this is not an easy job or an easy duty, but Yah saw fit for you to pick up the cross and walk. Yah saw fit for you to be a good soldier and endure. I'm talking to men and women. Yah saw you to be the perfect example of the fruits of his kingdom. The first fruits at that. I know it's hard. That's a heavy plate right there. But believe it or not, you got the gut to eat it. You got the gut to eat it. So you can either go ahead and slide that plate away. Oh, I'm full of sin, fornication. I'm full of adultery. I'm full of lies. I'm full of deceit. I'm full of lasciviousness. Or you can say, I'm thirsty and hungry for your righteousness. Give me that plate. I'll eat it with alacrity. Give me that plate, Abba. Toda Rabbah. Baruch atah Yahweh. Blessed be your name. And blessed be the food that you've given me for righteousness' sake. We're talking myself right now. I ain't need to talk to y'all no more. Let me get in position right now. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and give it light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men. Hey, for you Negroes in the back, hiding in the bush, not trying to get amongst the people. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works. See, don't get confused. He's not saying that boast, but you're not supposed to be one that's just hitting all the time. How are people going to see y'all's glory if you hiding? You over here becoming a righteous couch potato. Ain't doing a nail nada. Just reading the scriptures on Shabbat and playing it safe. But you just as wrong and bad as the person who out there not doing right. Because you the man who hid his talent. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Think not that I come to destroy the law. So now remember, let's keep this in context for those who teaching that he was teaching the law done away with, or that Paul was talking about that. Because remember, the context of the chapter is he is actually teaching his disciples. He's not talking to the people. He's talking to his actual disciples. He's talking to the ones that he's teaching. He's telling them, think not that I've come to destroy the Torah or the prophets. Now we're talking about the Tanakh. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Now let's go back to something real quick. What was that? Ephesians. I think it was Ephesians. Let me see. So remember, he said to all be fulfilled. Let's go to this real quick. Let me make sure this is it. Yeah, here we go. Let me start right here. Now remember, he said to all be fulfilled. There is one body and one spirit, even as ye are called in one hope for your calling. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is above all, through all, and in you all. But unto every one of us giving grace according to the measure of the gift. Here we go. The gift is attached to your calling. Your calling is attached to your talent. Wherefore he said, when he ascended up on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it? But that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth. He that descended is the same also that ascended up far above all heavens, that he might fulfill all things. And he gave, now let's see what he gave to the people. He gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of a Mashiach, till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge, which we got the knowledge today, of that Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Mashiach, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, carried about with every wind of doctrine. Y'all, I'm gonna ask y'all a question. And put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Do we see every wind of doctrine right now? Put a 1 in the chat. Do we see every wind of doctrine right now in this dispensation of time? Put a 1 in the chat. Do we see every wind of doctrine in this dispensation of time right now? Put a 1 in the chat. Come on. Put a 1 in the chat. Do we see every wind of doctrine in this dispensation of time? My next question. If you're going to say no to this, put a 2 in the chat. Has everybody come into the unity of the faith? If you say no, put a 2 in the chat. Has everybody come into the unity of faith? Has everybody come into the unity of faith? If you say no, put a 2 in the chat. Has everybody come into the unity of faith? Put a 2 in the chat if you say no. Has everybody come into the unity of faith? If you say no, put a 2 in the chat. So, my last question. I want y'all to put 7s in the chat if this is a no. If that's the case, has all been fulfilled? If you say no, put a 7 in the chat. If you say yes, put a 3 in the chat. Has all, according to the scriptures, been fulfilled? If you say no, put a 7 in the chat. If you say yes, put a 3 in the chat. So what does that mean, y'all? What does that mean? That means that the law or the prophets still stands till all be fulfilled. Because remember, the law is for who? Is the law for the righteous or unrighteous? Put it in the chat. Is the law for the righteous or unrighteous?
Your battery is running low. Please plug in the power adapter now.
Is the law for the righteous or unrighteous? Put it in the chat. Is the law for the righteous or unrighteous? Put it in the chat. Is the law for the righteous or unrighteous? Put it in the chat. Absolutely. Brother Micah, shalom, shalom, Maki. Shalom, shalom to everybody. So that means, y'all, guess what still stands? The law still stands and the prophets. Have some stuff been put on hold or abolished? Yes, but not everything. But not everything. So when brothers and sisters out here talking about the law done away with and you ain't got to keep the law, I can tell you for a fact that they are disciples of an Antichrist. They are disciples of an Antichrist because our master speaking to his disciples, though he didn't speak to the whole crowd, he was talking to his disciples. We can say for a surety that our master said that the law nor the prophets are done away with. It said, to heaven and earth pass, not one jot or tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. And if all ain't fulfilled, the law and the prophets still stand. Verse 19. Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and shall, so now he's dealing with, again, we got it. This is why we got to deal in context. So now it's starting to make sense. He's not talking to everybody because he understands everybody. There's other people who's under a different master who's teaching different things. He's only talking about those who profess to be disciples and servants of Yeshua. So he's talking to his own disciples. He says this, wherefore, whosoever shall break the least of these commandments and shall teach men so, talking about his disciples, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you that accept your righteousness. Now he's talking to it. Hey, you all are disciples of a Mashiach. I'm telling you, according to his word, your righteousness must exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. And ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom if your righteousness is not exceeded. Now keep in mind, now he's almost giving you a minimum standard. That the scribes and Pharisees is the minimum standard of righteousness. So if your righteousness don't even exceed them, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Because we know all Pharisees were not wicked. They were not all wicked. Right? So your right now, he's giving you a standard. He's charging y'all. He's charging us. Your righteousness got to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. Or in no case, you should enter into the kingdom of heaven. Verse 21. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. Whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you now you see he's giving his disciples a higher standard. You heard in old times that you should not kill, but I'm telling you this, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause. Let's go to that word so we won't get confused. What does cause mean? What type of cause you talking about? What type of cause are you talking about? Without a purpose or without just cause. So now just cause will be considered the standard of the law. So if you are angry with your brother without a just cause according to the law, you shall actually be in danger of the judgment. Whosoever, because remember, he told his disciples, man, if you got a problem with your brother, or he created an offense, you're supposed to go to your brother. And if he don't hear you, then you come to the people. Or you come and get 2 or 3 more. And he don't hear you, then you get to the people. Then this is how you should treat him. That's what the master said. So he gave us an order in all things. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. Whosoever shall say to his brother, Echad, shall be in danger of the council. Now let's see what Echad means. Let's see what Echad means. It's actually, we can go to the root word, the Hebrew word. Whosoever shall say to a brother, he's idle, or worthlessness, or he's not worthy, really, right? He's a vanity. Put this in proper context. Whosoever shall say to his brother, he is worthless, or he is empty, or he is an idle soul, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. He's setting the standard high, Israel. He is setting the standard high. He's no longer playing by minimal rules. He's causing you to think higher in your spirituality and your moral law. I'm causing you to think more above the natural law. If you even think to have anger in your brother, you got a problem. If you even think or look upon your brother's wife, you have committed adultery already. Huh? Yeah, you have heard from Moses about divorce, but it was not so in the beginning. He's raising the bar to what it was supposed to intended to be since the beginning. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of the hellfire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there remembers that thy brother have aught against thee. Now keep in mind, it didn't say you will have an aught with your brother. It said, you know your brother got an aught against you. Leave there thy gift before the altar and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. A lot of us be sitting up here praying, knowing we got a problem with somebody. Going in Shabbats, knowing we got an issue with somebody, they got an issue with us. When we know that it said, do not let the sun set on your wrath. We be going into feast days with nothing but leaven in our heart, thinking that you cleaned the leaven out your house and ain't cleared out your spiritual house yet. Thinking you doing something when you ain't doing nothing. Because our master has caused us to have a higher standard of living. And it starts with the mind. He came to set the mind of the people free. He came to set the minds of the people free. A lot of y'all wearing zeet, head wraps, lion earrings, dresses, garments, keeping feast days, and still minds is captive. Being in Shabbat, probably right now, listening to this lesson, thinking about all the bills you got to pay. Probably listening to this message right now, talking about all the problems you got with a brother or sister. My wife ain't shit. My husband ain't this. Who he think he is. Whole time listening to this message. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. There's no way you can offer up a prayer of praise knowing that you got aught in your heart or knowing somebody got an aught with you. See, he didn't just set the standard for the brother who had the aught. He also set the standard for the one who knew his brother or sister had an aught with them. Don't bring me nothing until you make that right. Don't bring me nothing until you make that right. Verse 25. Agree with thy adversary quickly while thou art in the way with him, lest any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge. See, a lot of people like to take this now, and you can take this as talking about authority and all that, but let's keep it in context. Once you go in your brother, your sister, your enemy, the reality is they become an adversary. They become an adversary. So it says, agree with them quickly when thou art in the way with them when you got a problem with them. Unless at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge. Do you all know that he's actually talking about Torah? He's actually talking about Torah. Let me see if I pull out the Deuteronomy, the famous Deuteronomy 25. Let's go to that real quick. I spelled that all wrong. I put the extra on it. Deuteronomy 25. There be a controversy between men, and they come unto judgment, that the judges may judge them. Then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. Let's go back. Let's read this in context now. Agree with thy adversary quickly, while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Now, when you read later in that chapter, they actually receive lashes, right? It says, verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out of this, till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her, have committed adultery with her already in his heart. If thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out, etc., right? So you go down, he's starting to charge his disciples on how they should live and move as being representatives on the likeness and image of their master, Yeshua. He's setting the precedence on, if you're going to be my student, you're going to represent me, this is how you should move. Let's go to Matthew 10, and we're going to wrap it up right here. Matthew 10, verse 1. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. This is your charge, Israel, those who believe in Yeshua. You have been charged. You've been given the power and authority if you so choose to accept it in a subjective position. You have the power against unclean spirits. You have the power to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles, etc., etc. I ain't gonna go through all that. Verse 5. These 12 Yeshua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritan enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. He's giving y'all charge. This should be our message. And we're calling ourselves Talmudim, students, servants, and he has given us a portion of people to co-shepherd over. This is the message that we should be delivering them. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the leper, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. So just as Yeshua has redeemed you on this live, or those who may rush to record, Yeshua has redeemed you from a lot of stuff that you've been going through and still redeeming you. It is your duty and mandate to freely give that same thing that has been given to you to the people. To deliver you from your death, to deliver you from your filthiness, and your rags, to deliver you from your fornication. You are there to help heal the people from that too, because now you have experienced the power of the Almighty. It said, provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses, nor a scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves. For the workman is worthy of his food. Ooh-wee. So are you telling me the more you work for the kingdom and labor in Yah, the more food that you get? Absolutely. Because your workman is worthy of his hire. He's worthy of his food. And enter into whatsoever city or town you shall enter. Inquire who in it is worthy. There abide till you go thence. And when you come into the house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, now that's deep, y'all. It said when you come into anybody's house, you salute it. Now, this is where you as being disciples and students and really soldiers of the kingdom to discern the purpose, the people you amongst, are they worthy? And if they worthy, guess what gets to ride? Guess what gets to be placed upon that person's house because of you and the access authority that Yah is giving you? Peace. Peace could come upon a person's house. Peace can come up. Oh my God, man. It's so powerful. We don't really understand. See, we want to get into all that esoteric stuff and use tarot cards and use crystals to activate and blast our pineal gland wide open to try to access these spiritual things. But what if that power that we were seeking, because really all we looking is for healing in these things. We're looking for self-gratification and we're looking for security, to be honest with you. That's what a lot of people who seek those things look for. But all those things that you're seeking is in Yah. And he's telling you through Yah, you got the power to bring peace upon a house. You got the power to bring peace upon a house. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I know I'm talking to somebody. Damn, I just sound like a preacher right now. But it's that deep though. You got the power to cause peace to rest upon the house by your discernment. If you say, if it be worthy, if the house be worthy, you decide. He's telling you, you decide if it's worthy of his peace. Through you, it shall obtain peace. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. Meaning it don't, man. I'm about to get off this. It's deep. I'm about to go to my closet and repent right now. Cause it's like, man, the reality, we not worthy of all this, man. Like y'all giving us this much power, like we able to move mountains. And we just a silly people, man. We that silly woman that's just talking about. We as Israel are that silly woman. Laden in iniquity. Laden in iniquity. Don't even realize what's waiting for us. We're that prodigal son. Want to just see what's out there in the world. To the point that we put ourselves into the point that we got to touch the foul things like swine. We're in an environment in a country where half the products is full of swine. How about that? All because we wanted to be like these people. He gave us up to it. He gave us up to it. And he said, whosoever shall not receive you nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Because remember, that was a testimony. The dust of your feet, the dust from your feet was a testimony against them. Woo. Man, y'all, what are we doing here? Where I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Behold, now he telling you he telling you the mandate. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves, ravenous wolves. Be ye therefore wise as a serpent. Hey, if y'all been watching this long enough, I tell y'all, when he start comparing us to certain animals or characters or trades or professions, start studying those. So he said, I send you forth as sheep. What does sheep look like amongst wolves? He said, be ye therefore wise as a serpent. How does a serpent move? How does it know when to attack? How does it know when to go to camouflage? How does it know what area to slither through? Start studying these things so you actually know how to move amongst your enemies. Be therefore wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils. And now keep in mind, let's put this in proper context. He is talking about Negroes amongst you. One thing the Negro has certainly forgotten in history, that any time that there was a fall of any organization, any kingdom, any temple, any movement, one of the biggest ways they caused it to fall was by using a Negro who was close to the leader. By using a Negro who was somewhat close and understood the movement and mind of that master or said teacher amongst that group, kingdom, organization, temple, or movement, right? So the reality is we sitting here looking at the white man, we really should be looking at our own people. We really should be looking at our own people. Because they like I like saying it because it's a fact. It really is a fact. He said there's only one person who's more dangerous than a white man. And that is a coon. A Negro who knows who he is, but still choose the side for self-preservation. That is the most dangerous person on this earth. And I agree with that. That is the most dangerous person on this earth, is a coon who was into a survival mode of self-preservation. A Judas goat. That is the most dangerous person on this earth. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in the synagogues. Clearly talking about your people. People will literally use this as police today, when this is literally talking about your own people. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. So we see that, because remember, our master got brought forth before governors and kings too. And he was used as a testimony against them is the Jews, against them and the Gentiles. Because the reality is the Gentiles also, regardless, partook of his death. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak. I'm giving y'all the teaching of the master to the student. If you really want to know the mandate, the all eternal mandate for the servants and disciples of Yeshua, Matthew 10 is the blueprint of what you're supposed to do. It is the mandate. I invite all y'all to slowly study it and see. It says, take no thought or how or what ye shall speak, but it shall be given you in that same hour which ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved. When they persecute you in the city, flee ye into another. For verily I say to you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel, till the Son of Man be come. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his master. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master. So who we supposed to be like, y'all? Our master. It said it is enough for the disciple to be as his master. Because what was the first mandate given to Adam? To be in the likeness and image of Elohim. We're supposed to be in the likeness and image of Elohim, aka Yeshua, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? Fear them not thenceforth, for there is nothing covered that should not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. When I tell you what I tell you in darkness, that I speak in, they speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not two sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are more valuable than many sparrows. Whosoever there shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny by my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. And what does the sword represent, y'all? War. This is the master speaking, y'all. He has come to declare war against darkness. Y'all don't realize in this dispensation of time that you've been placed in, that you're at the end time of that war. This has been 1,000, however long year war, 2,000 year war that is almost to an end. So that's why I say, he that endureth to the what? End shall be saved. You at war, y'all. For I come to set a man at variance against his father, the daughter against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's foes shall be they of his own household. Why? He's telling you, because amongst our own people, those who committed to the Brit Hadashah, the Besor, the gospel of Mashiach, those of his own household, and we all can attest to that right now. How many of us have family members that's against us right now because of what we believe in? We are living proof of being disciples or in discipleship with Hamashiach. Verse 37, he that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it. And he that lose his life for my sake shall find it. If you are claiming to be Yeshua's disciple, his servant, your life is not your own no more. If you still trying to go back to that old life that you live, let's just call it what it is. You're lukewarm, you're in the gray area, and you're on the fence. And Yah is not the author of confusion. Therefore, he is not with you. He is not with you. So we have to be clear about what side of the fence that we own. He that receiveth me, and he that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the name. Now remember, name means what? Authority. Whose authority should we be walking in? Put it in the chat, y'all. Whose authority or name should we be walking in? Put it in the chat. Whose name and authority should we be walking in? Put it in the chat. Whose name and authority should we be walking in? Put it in the chat. Whose name and authority should we be walking in? Whose name and authority should we be walking in? Correct. So let's read this. He that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, which Yeshua is that prophet. And he that receiveth a righteous man in the authority or name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man reward. And whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water, only in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. Ooh, wee. Man, do y'all understand the authority, the power, the mandate that you walk in? Whether you be disciple, prophet, or righteous man, in the name of a prophet, righteous man, or a disciple. When they receive you if they receive you in your name, through Yeshua, they shall not lose their reward, man. Y'all don't understand, man. That's why I say a good name is far above gold. Because a good name can move mountains. A good name can cast out devils. A good name can cause even your enemies to be at peace with you. We walk in the boldness and authority of Yeshua HaMashiach, y'all. This is the revelation of Lamed. This is the authority that we get to carry when we're in good standing and righteousness and walking on that straight and narrow path towards HaMashiach. So with that being said, since we're not gathering today, I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes. If y'all got any questions or comments towards the lesson, the completion of the lesson of the revelation of Lamed, y'all got any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. I'm only giving y'all 5 minutes, so I gotta make it quick. If y'all got any questions or comments towards the lesson, please comment. Please comment. I hope y'all enjoyed the lesson. I hope it was fruitful for y'all. I hope y'all really got some understanding even more now what it means when we say we are disciples, Talmudim, or citizens of God's kingdom. There's a certain stature, image, likeness, and authority we get to walk in as being inheritors of that kingdom, even on earth. And you do have that access and power now, so long as you're in good standing. So long as you're in good standing, right? We all got work to do. And that's a heavy plate to eat off of. But you were built for this. You were made for this. You really were. That's why you were chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. You were chosen for this. And you got to embrace that. It took me a while to embrace that. And just really get grounded in that. But I thank Yah that he endured with me. And he loved me enough and showed me enough mercy and grace to obtain the knowledge of that son of Elohim. Took a minute, but we here. We here now, man. So all praise due to the Most High. Elah, Yahweh, Eloheinu, Echenu, Haolam, for just constantly just showing and revealing himself more and more to his servants, his sons and his daughters. So I'm going to assume with no questions or comments that we're all good to go and that y'all have some understanding and overstanding of the lesson. And may Yah continue to be with you all. May he bless you all. May he keep you all. And may he cause his face to shine upon you all. Also, make sure that y'all email us for those who want to keep the Pesach, the Passover with us. Y'all got until April 12th to register. If you need the information, please email us at the email below so that we can get y'all the information. We are doing it in Atlanta, Georgia. So if y'all are interested, please email us as soon as possible. We're trying to lock everybody in and get everything settled. So please make sure that y'all locked in. By emailing us, or if y'all got one of our personal numbers, just text us. But other than that, I I love y'all as we are getting closer and closer to the new year. May the Most High just to continue to watch over us and keep us in this hour, and even forgive us for our transgressions that we may do along the way as we're still learning this life and purging ourselves from our old ways. So with that being said, love y'all, love y'all, love y'all. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom.